And the only people that will be able to participate in elections will be union members.
That is completely untrue. Unions are subject to exactly the same rules.
Or members of the Labor Party.
You've got to stop changing your story. Either you think that it's the unions getting some benefit out of this. Unions are subject to exactly the same rules that every other donor is subject to. Unions.
Have you explained nominated entities? The associated entities, the big pool of cash that political parties have available to them, and the unions and the Labor Party, or that little secret loophole in the legislation?
There are no secret loopholes in this legislation. This legislation, for the first time, enables every single Australian, when you go to the ballot box next election, to know exactly who is donating to the the candidate of your choice and how much they are donating. So we will know next time just how much every single candidate is receiving by way of donations. This is the most transparent. Electoral reforms that has ever occurred in this country. And the whole process pushes downward pressure on the cost of elections so ordinary Australians have a chance to be elected, not those candidates that are supported by the billionaires and the millionaires.
For ordinary Australians, a 47% increase to how much the public will pay politicians per vote. A 47% increase. Think about that. What other sector received the 47% increase?
Minister, polls are pointing to the next election, the next government being in minority. One of the independents that might need to get you into government at the next election is anyone next to the North is very unhappy about this. Some other of the lower house independents are also very unhappy. I realise you're not in the lower house, but does this cruel the government's election chances of actually coming back into government with through minority next parliament?
Well, let me say this. I believe Anthony Albanese will lead the Labor Party to a majority victory at the next election. We've done all of the things to try and put, well, in the case of electoral reform, downward pressure on the cost of elections. In terms of cost of living, we're trying to put downward pressure on the cost of living. And I think the Albanese government will be rewarded with a majority at the next election.
Just on Trump and Trump.
If I may, this is a press conference.
We found out the details of this deal through the press, so I think it's appropriate we do it here in front of the press. We didn't have the courtesy of a briefing or information of what the deal was. So it happens in front of the press. We find out through the press, so it happens in front of the press.